Personal story. I was flying back to London from Amsterdam a few weeks ago with KLM. I got to the gate and I was told my flight was overbooked and I wouldn't be going anywhere until the following morning. Now, as you can imagine, I wasn't best pleased. But what really got me was that when I went to the customer services desk, there were passengers from all over Europe who were equally stuck. But you know what? Virtually every flight you travel on is overbooked, and it's not an accident. It's the company policy of almost every major European airline.
Usually people think, well, it's a one-off occurrence that's just happened, and it's not. Particularly on busy routes, you find it quite a bit. So for me, it is a bigger problem than is actually admitted by the airlines, and it's a bigger problem than certainly the travelling public understand.
It's not just overbooking, and it's not just KLM who declined to give us an interview. Airline policies on delays, cancellations and compensation are in the sights of both the European Parliament and the Commission. They're in the process of strengthening EU Regulation 261. It's supposed to safeguard passengers' rights, but Brian and his colleagues fear it's barely worth the paper it's written on.
The airlines have driven a coach and horses through this regulation. Really what we have now, and the reason why we are looking at this regulation again, is because the regulation has been abused by the airlines to the detriment of the travelling public.
As you might expect, the airline industry doesn't quite see it like that, but their European trade body does accept the rules will change. It's just a question of by how much.
Please don't make those rules so strict that you cripple the industry and ultimately harm the interests of the passenger, which could actually happen if the rules are so strict that we are very, very heavily burdened with them. An acceptable compromise is going to be difficult to reach. Having said that, the Commission proposal is really pretty fair and balanced as far as we're concerned.
Which is precisely why MEPs think the Commission's plan to broadly enforce the existing rules rather than add to them is a bit lame.
No, I don't think they go anywhere near far enough. I think the Commission's missed the opportunity by not recognising that 261 is about passenger rights, not airline rights.
The timetable for getting this through before next year's European elections is going to be tight. It has to be signed off by the Parliament, the Commission and the Council of Ministers before then, and that worries consumer groups.
We would certainly fundamentally support the European Parliament approach. We are much more concerned with the Council position, with the Member States, with the governments, because they seem to wish to water down the protection that would be granted to air passengers. We see that there is quite some influence of the airline companies towards the Member States.
Reform may be on the runway, but it's still not certain to take off. And in Europe, as with flights, change can be subject to delay, rerouting, and sometimes even cancellation.